So here are some of the links for social media platforms. I can go through them, but in the interest of time, I'll skip over them. If anybody wants me to go back and explore any one of these social media platforms, you can. These are the most popular ones. So there's email, right? And we'll talk about that separately. There's Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn. People use each of these differently. If you have any questions specifically about them, you can go ahead. We can talk about those. But how to crowdfund? So there's a couple of different ways. One is through a crowdfunding platform, and I'm going to highlight LaunchGood here just because many Muslim charities do use LaunchGood. And it's basically, when we click on it, for those who have not seen it before, but I'm pretty sure everyone has seen it. Here you can see it's an individual campaign. So it's a one person, it's a Sadaqah Jariyah for this person. They're raising funds on behalf of this one person towards charity to build a water well in Africa. So you can see that all of this here, LaunchGood being, a platform, a user platform that facilitates donations. They have an easy support button here. They have the descriptor of the actual project. This is the person who is the organizer of this fundraising campaign, and then it shows you who all the supporters are and gives you some information. So this is a basic LaunchGood page. And like I said, there was two ways for us to set up a crowdfunding campaign. The first one is that you have an individual person who you set up a fundraising as a charity, you set up a fundraising page for them. So for example, they say, my daughter's Akika is coming up and I want to raise money for your charity. So how can I do that? I want to, encourage people to donate, funds for charity on her behalf or out of happiness or whatnot. And so you could set up a fundraising page. You can set up a LaunchGood page that person then, it's their personal link, and they send that out through social media to all their friends and family and saying, I'm donating, I'm collecting funds for charity on behalf of so-and-so. It could be, a memorial. A lot of people do that for people that they love that have passed away. I want to build a well, or I want to collect funds and donate to charity on behalf of my mother or behalf of my sister. And so you would create, as the charity, a fundraising page for them that then they would use social media to push out to the world, right? And so they would go on their email, they would email their friends, they would go on their Facebook page, and people would donate because they know them and they have a personal connection with them. Another way of crowdfunding is for the charity to plan a campaign, for example, around, let's just say, Mother's Day, okay? Or around, let's pick something else. How about Eid? Let's just say they want to do Eid gifts for children in their community, refugee children in their community. And so they would they would create a LaunchGood page for that. And they would ask their supporters to push that link out through social media to the world, right? To other people in the community. And that would help that charity to raise that money. So that's another thing. One thing we have to be aware of with LaunchGood and with other GoFundMe, it's the same thing for GoFundMe, LaunchGood, Indiegogo, et cetera, that crowdfunding platforms, because they're doing a service for you, what they're doing is they're charging you a lot of percentage. Stripe, 2.2% plus 30 cents, 2.5%, I think is what their rate is. But LaunchGood charges an additional 8% of all the funds raised through their platform. So just something to be aware of, that they do take a big chunk. So if you're raising a large amount or intending to have like a big capital campaign where you're wanting to raise $1 million to fund your center, you don't want to do that through LaunchGood. You do want to do that through your website where you're not being charged additional fees. And so that's where going back to the importance of having a really great website and having that easy to access donate button and having your donate button linked through Stripe or through PayPal to your bank and then also to your CRM. That's really important to have that set up. But if you're doing a small type, once again, an individual person who want to do a birthday fundraiser, who want to do a memoriam fundraiser, that's where LaunchGood gets is really, really useful. Any questions about this? No, okay. Another way, and this is going back to wanting to save those fees, you can crowdfund direct through your website. And so you're sharing, here's an example I want to just quickly show you. Kindful allows you to set up a crowdfund.
Rafia's asking, what about Canada Helps?
Canada Helps is also a great platform. And in fact, many charities I know do use Canada Helps. Canada Helps does offer a lot of services at a discount for charities. It is a charity set up for charities, nonprofit set up for that reason. It is great to use. I find that, it's a little bit, I don't know how to say this, but I find some of their design is not as accessible. It's not as interesting, but definitely it does have a full plethora of services that a charity can use. So definitely do check it out. I do recommend checking out Canada Helps, and that's again looking at all the different platforms that you can use. There are actually dozens upon dozens of platforms out there like Fundly or Raise Now, or there's just so many that you can use to set up a crowdfunding page, and they offer different combinations of being a payment platform along with being a payment gateway, some of them, and so there's just so much out there, and it's important for you to know those definitions so that when you are looking at a platform like Raise Now, for example, or Razor or Fundly, you are understanding what it is that they're offering, right? What are they offering you, and how much are their fees, and what are they charging? Yep. So, yeah.
Rafia's asking something. She has her hand up.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Sorry. Yeah. Going back to LaunchGood and their fees, how much do you think would be a reasonable amount to raise through that platform? Would it be how much?
Yeah, I would keep that for small to mid-sized fundraisers. So I would say anything under 10,000 is my recommendation. Once again, just thinking about that percentage, right? Because it's not just the 8% they take, you're also paying for the 2.5% or 2.2%, whatever that Stripe takes as well. So that's about 10%. So if it's, $10,000 you're raising, that's 10%. That's not going towards your charity, right? And so I think it's best. The reason why people use LaunchGood is because it's such a user-friendly, it's such a pretty page. It's so well designed. People share that link on their social media to their friends and family. And so this is why it's easy to share, right? It's more user-friendly. And so for small amounts like that, an individual person wants to have a birthday fundraiser, that's a great tool to use because it's something pretty that they can share and they can personalize it, right? They can put their own message on it. They can't do that with your website, right? So when you have a website that you're just sending out your website link, it's not personal to them. And so they'll still do it if they're supporters of your cause, but they can't put their own information on there. This is to raise funds in honor of my child's 7th birthday, right? They can't do that for your website. So that's really important to remember. Sorry, Rafi, do you still have another question?
Yes, I think one of the advantages also of LaunchGood is that we're getting exposed to international donors and a larger donor platform. So it's that I see as a great advantage, even though we don't want to give away a lot of our fees, but pay a lot of fees. But it introduces us to a lot of new people.
Yes, I totally agree. Absolutely. It does do that. And yeah, once again, you can also push that out. Once again, you can also push out your website in that same way. But yes, it does. It's just, what it is. It's just the usability of it is is easy. And so a lot of people like that. I will show you this one thing here though. And this is an example of Kindful's crowdfunding page, which is a really great shortcut. And I think that other platforms have this, other CRMs have this as well. Not Blackbaud from what I've seen, not Razor's Edge, but others that I've seen do have crowdfunding pages that they've set up, that they have this. How about this? Simply, yes, I've heard of Simply as well.
It doesn't charge any fees.
Simply doesn't charge any fees.
No.
Yeah, that's great. And you're absolutely right. I've heard of things like that as well that have come up. Just make sure that because a lot of them don't charge fees under a certain amount of donations or a certain number of donors. And so just make sure that if it's going to be free, how much is free. And then also the range of services as to what they offer. Do a comparison, and you'll find that sometimes the free portion is great for a very small amount of donations or a very small campaign. But if you want to have something on the back end, it's worth it to pay a little bit more or to upgrade to a paid subscription. Just something to keep in mind. So here's an example of a crowdfunding page, which interestingly enough, I mean, it's not as pretty as LaunchGood, but it's similar in its style. And when you click donate, this is going directly through the charities. It's almost like donating on their website. It's pretty much the same thing in terms of, and it doesn't charge them any fees, right? Other than what they're already paying for Kindful as their CRM. Okay, I'm just gonna go back, sorry. So then the third way to crowdfund is direct through the social media platform. So Facebook, for example, has something called Facebook fundraisers. You know, you can, I'm just going to click on that to show you what that looks like. So you can create a fundraiser directly through Facebook and, you know, promote that through, you know, your supporters on Facebook. And so that's another example that, you know, I think Instagram also has their swipe up button, but it's been a chat like most other platforms, like LinkedIn doesn't offer that, Twitter does not offer that. It's basically only Facebook. And they have, Instagram has a lot more features, but they're present. Last I checked, they were present only in the US for US users, but that could be changing for Canada. If anyone's heard any different, please let me know. Okay, so that's another third way to crowdfund. So how are you going to set up your crowdfunding campaign? Once you've identified what you want to raise funds for, you kind of identified, you have an idea as to who your supporters are and how are you going to set that, how are you going to promote that? You really want to sit down and think about this, you know, how are you going to set up your crowdfunding campaign? You want to basically clearly define your project and your goals. You want to know how much are you going to fundraise? How much are you seeking to fundraise for? Is it a capital campaign? Is it just a project? You know, is it a short-term program? Is it a long-term program? You really want to kind of think about that. And then based on that information, and also who are your donors, who's your community? Based on that, you want to choose a platform, right? And so is it going to be your website? Is it going to be LaunchGood? Is it going to be through your CRM? Is it going to be through Facebook fundraiser? How's it going to be? You plan your campaign and you build your community. So you reach out to you know, your supporters. For example, if you're going to run a very, how to say it, a popular campaign, like for example, a Mother's Day campaign, something that a large amount of people can identify with, you know, and it's something very specific to your organization, you know, let's just say your women's charity, you know, help support women, support your mother, you know, you're kind of developing a campaign around Mother's Day. Well, that's great. You plan your campaign, you build a community, you find other, for example, on Instagram, you can find influencers who are, you know, mothers themselves, their main, you know, their main image that they present to the world is, you know, they're interested in motherhood and in childcare and, you know, products, and they're all into that whole, you know, mothering world. That's great. Reach out to them and say, would you like to help us fundraise? Would you like to push out this Mother's Day campaign that we're doing, right? Make those connections with the community, with people on the ground to utilize their social media to push out your campaign, right? And so And that's where the next step of promoting your campaign comes. You really want to, as much as possible, talk to people. I mean, as much as social media seems like it's all in, it's all online, those are real people right behind those screens. And they have people they know personally, right? And so what it's all that social media is that it's easing the transfer of information from person to person, and making it easily accessible. And then the last part of that is fulfilling and updating your community. So it's not just that you've raised the funds. Now it's all about going back to those influencers, for example, who helped you to raise those funds, or your supporters, the ones who pushed out your link and helped to really champion your cause. You want to go back to them and say, thank you very much, all of your efforts. This is how much we were able to raise, thanks to everyone's support. You really want to go back and touch base with them, and not just because you want to create those relationships long-term, right? Not just that one time that you're doing a campaign. So any questions about crowdfunding? I'm going to go on a little bit about tips. If anyone has any questions, oh, there's some in the chat. Right, very good point. Imam Rashad is saying. Let me scroll up. Young social media users, exactly, who give for emotional causes. Thank you. That's a wonderful recap. You can't expect large gifts or major or major gift donors. Right. And so this is why I'm saying it's good for small amounts, under 10K, 5K here and there. But for big donations, you really can't use LaunchGood for that. And crowdfunding generally is not for large donations. It's for, once again, small amounts coming from multiple people, which add up to a lot, right? And so here's some tips for crowdfunding on social media. So you want to reach out to influencers or on Instagram, or people in the community who have a significant following on Facebook, LinkedIn, or Twitter, and who have some alignment with your mission. Okay, so same thing, for example, if you are looking to get, actually I can't give this because I'll give another example. If you're looking to, for example, put together Ramadan food baskets, right? Look for people, for example, people who in the community who perhaps are chefs or big into food, on Instagram, right? So they love showcasing their specialty cakes and pastries that they make, and this and that has some alignment with your idea of having, fundraising for food related, a food related cause. And so reaching out to them and saying, would you like to help us with fundraising for our Ramadan food baskets, right? So they want to have some alignment. They're going to have some alignment in order to be interested in promoting your cause. Be prepared to pay them a small fee for their participation if they ask. Instagrammers, that is their job. Many times that's their primary source of their earning. So oftentimes they will request a fee, so don't be shocked if they do. You can choose as a charity based on your budget to say, okay, we can't afford to pay anyone for anything, or we have small amounts here or there. That's up to that's your prerogative as to how much you want to invest, on a crowdfunding campaign. But if there are people who are willing to help you out for free, amongst your circle of supporters, do create a 1 to 2 page document for your influencers that give them all the information they need to run a successful campaign. Okay, so they need a 1 page there that has all the talking points about the need and the mission, what the campaign dates are, the date or the date range that they should be posting stuff on their Instagram or on their Facebook. How many times do they need to post, right? Maybe you had discussions with like a celebrity chef or something, or a chef who has a large amount of following, and for your Ramadan food baskets, and you ask him to post, you have to let him know what exactly are you posting and when, right? Like, what are we asking from? We're asking you to post twice a week, or once during the campaign, or 3 times during the campaign, and whether or not those posts will be static posts, so just still posts, or stories, which are, right, them going on and creating a little video talking about, for example, about your project. Or is it a reel or a video that you can share with them that they can post on their video or on their Instagram page or on their Facebook page? And then of course the link to your fundraising page or website. And then photos or videos that they can share of your campaign plus your logo, right? So giving them this information in a concise document will really help them to properly, fundraise for you. Essentially what they're doing is they're being a fundraiser for you. And so they need that information. They need the information about, about your charity and about your mission and all the creatives around that to do that successfully. And then of course, ask them to tag you when they post and share their stories, and be sure to thank them in the comments, give them updates as to the success of the campaign when it ends, and thank them for their participation, right? So once again, thinking long-term, not just, okay, I've used you once and that's it. Create that relationship, right? With people who are prominent on social media. Actually get, have conversations with them maybe before the campaign launches, where, you really, for people to push your content out, they need to be motivated, right? And so having that conversation with them beforehand and giving them that content that they need will help them to do a good job and to bring in more money for you. Okay, go on to the next one. Okay, we're gonna do a little crowdfunding. How are we doing on time, Nargis?
We have 15 minutes left.
Oh my goodness, we haven't even touched on email. Okay, I'm gonna leave this to you guys, which is to design a crowdfunding campaign, just because we don't have time. We still have to talk about email. But essentially what I was gonna ask you guys to do was to look at these two scenarios and choose one and design a crowdfunding campaign around them. Okay, so when a neighborhood association wants to fundraise money for a project to purchase essential winter clothing for newly arrived refugees in their area, they do not have a website, but they have a Facebook page. What are some of the ideas on how they could design a crowdfunding campaign for this project? Okay, that's our first one. Second one is a charity that serves food for homeless people is looking to raise money in order to buy a fridge for their center so that leftover meals can be stored and reused the next day. They have a website and can issue tax receipts. What are some ideas on how they could design a crowdfunding campaign for this project? So what I'm going to do is I'll just let you guys, if anyone has any ideas that they want to share or questions, this is a good time to offer that. What would be the best platform, Rafi is asking, what would be the best platform to raise a large amount of money? I would say your website. Like a large amount of money, absolutely your website. If it's in person, then definitely you can have, like, for example, a Square, Square machine. You can have like a Stripe, a portal. Like there's things that you can have in person, but if you're doing it online, you're going to be saving yourself a lot of time, cost, and hassle if you're using your website. It's also the best place to describe your mission. Like if you're raising a large amount of money, there has to be a good reason why you're doing that, right? And so your website will allow you the ability to explain your project in a little bit more detail, and kind of, help people to understand, why you're raising that amount of money.
But
So
Amber, here's a question. If you do it on your website, we're obviously assuming that we're the ones who are setting out mailers and promoting on Facebook and Instagram and Twitter and hoping that all these third-party people will look at our website and just donate. Whereas people who are all, tuned in for Ramadan on LaunchGood, let's say, they're already going to LaunchGood. LaunchGood is promoting you, or at least showing, different organizations. So all these strangers could give even like $5, but website means people who know you already, right? Or you are in touch with.
Website, yes, you could. So you could do a combination. So for example, a lot of people, you're right. If you want to catch people on LaunchGood who are just showing up and just giving for the sake of giving, they're not engaged donors though. So they're not people who are going to give you $10,000, right, on the 27th night of Ramadan. They're going to be people who are just kind of looking to donate $5, $2 here and there. Maybe they have a certain amount of, sadaqah that they need to give. Okay, so they're going to come on LaunchGood and do that. But if you want to raise a large amount of money, you really do, like, by large I mean much more than $10,000, right? Or you're raising funds for, let's just say, a capital building project, like looking to build a, a new wing of your building. Yeah, 1 million. Yeah, so definitely 1 million. You're not doing that on Launch Good. You are doing that on your website. You're setting aside, you're putting a dedicated page just about your $1 million project, which I'm assuming is a capital project. And for that, what you're doing is engaging a large amount of followers, a large amount of people in the community who are aligned with your mission, to direct them to that website page that should have, by the way, a really clear donate button, and that is only one click to get to that donation page. In other words, by the time people arrive on your website, they should be motivated to give. So everything else that you're structuring, your entire front end campaign, in terms of, even let's just say you decided to have a fundraising dinner and you have, you're passing around the iPads, right? That are right there on your website. They're clicking donate and they're doing that, that processing of that donation right there, right? And so that's what my recommendation is. I don't know if Imam Rashad has a better idea for capital campaigns. I know that he's very experienced in this area.
Well, he put something down on the chat box. Maybe you could move on to the next one. We only have like 11 minutes left.
Okay, so we're going to go to the next section. That's just some food for thought. I wish we had some time to discuss the previous crowdfunding campaign, but we're going to go on to email campaigns, if this lets me. Here you go. So email is an incredibly powerful tool. And I think that, sorry, going back to Rafia's question about your capital campaign, using email, because email, of course, that donate button is going straight to your website. That's really important to direct people. Do not underestimate the power of email. It generates $42 for every dollar spent, which is an astounding $4,200, 4,200% return on investment, right? And 21% of sent emails are opened within the first hour delivery. That's a huge amount. If you have an email list of like, you can go to other charities, you can go to other supporters in the community and ask them, there's ways to try to get people to subscribe, to join your email list. A lot of things that you can do to help people, to get people to sign up to your email list, to grow your email database. It's really important to do. Email is 40% better at converting in comparison to Facebook and Twitter. And that's because I think the medium makes a big difference. The fact that emails are meant to be read, as opposed to Instagram, which is meant to be looked at, or Twitter, which is just small bites of information, 280 characters, and Facebook, which is also still very much of a visual medium. Email is meant to be read, and the more people read about your mission and about what you're doing, the more likely they are to give. So this is why email is so powerful. So what does a good email look like? And we'll just quickly look at some design. I'm going to just click. Oh, did I stop sharing? Sorry. Okay, new share. Right. So here's a couple of emails I wanted to highlight. These are some organizations that have sent me emails just recently. And I just flagged them and put them aside. Here's Charity Water's email. And I love the fact that the first thing you see is the Give Now button, okay? So they're assuming that as a Charity Water supporter, you're already tapped in. You're already somebody who has bothered to sign up to receive an email from them, whether it's because you've donated to them or whether you attended an event, or whether there's a pop-up on their website that you filled in order to receive their newsletter because you're interested in their mission. And so, with email, you can get right to the crux of the matter. They have a Give Now button, and then they're talking about their campaign this festive season. It's clear that it's a Christmas campaign. We're celebrating families, and nice little section here. You have wonderful images, very nice resolution, and they're telling you exactly what they want. With your help this festive season, we want to give 5,000 families a gift that changes everything. access to clean and safe water, right? So their ask, by the way, your email, every email you send out should have an ask, right? And we'll talk about that in email tips, but and here that they're also breaking down what they're asking. It takes about $240 to bring clean water to one family. So they're making it, they're helping you to understand the need and how much it's going to cost for you to help fulfill that need, right? And then there's some more details and some more pictures, etc. And so that's an example of an excellent email. Here's another one. iDirect's email that just came back. Once again, the donate button, nice and prominent, right? For people who, oh yeah, I just remembered, that's right, it's Juma today, and oh, absolutely, I needed to donate. I forgot I had, a certain amount that I had intended, donate. Great, if the reminder is there, it's right in front of you. You have that chance to click. Program updates from Somalia. Here they're launching a program. Their first ever cash intervention program in Somalia, etc. They give a little bit of information. And once again, in an email, you can have copy. You can have lots of copy if you wanted to, because you're giving details. People are reading it. They're spending some time and are willing to read because they've sat down and they're opening up their emails and they know that they have to read, right? If it's not this, it's going to be an email from a colleague or from a friend, etc., with words. And so they're already in that reading frame of mind, right? And so here they're looking at this. The donate button again is over here, and then some other information that they're using, by the way, these nice dividers to kind of divide up the topics in between, and so that you're not overwhelmed with the information, you're not confused with the different types of information. Here's another one by Islamic Relief. Here they are, their title, Travel the World with Islamic Relief Canada. Okay, so that, and it's really important to have, we're going to talk about this testing in order to know which type of email subject lines produce better click-throughs. So here you go. Once again, it's a video. So when you click on it, you're going to get a chance to see that video. They're talking about their global challenges. They're giving some information here about dates, and then the sign up now button. So this sign up now button, this is your call to action, right? Whether it's donate, you're calling someone to do something, either donate or sign up now, or, etc. View this new thing that we've done. So you're asking them to do an action. Last one, oh, sorry. Okay. So here's an example of an email that is not big on words, but is a little bit more clean. This is an impact email that this Sakina Home sent out. And here you can see they're talking a little bit about the impact that a donation have. When you click on these buttons, support your home, support our homes, it's going straight to a donate form. Learn more. So here's another call to action, the People's Market. Donate here specifically for providing hot nutritious iftars. And then the last one is information. Thank you. Tax receipts have been emailed, right? It's really important, and we'll get into this, to have that header, that footer, right, with your information, your contact information, and these two buttons here, unsubscribe or manage preferences. But I'm going to talk about that in just a minute. I totally agree. Brother Imam Rashad is saying that for campaigns that large, it's best to practice to raise minimum 40% through one-to-one engagement with major and loyal donors before going public. That's right. Crowdfunding, and people forget this, crowdfunding is not the way to raise, you're not going to raise $1 million through crowdfunding, rarely. I'm not saying it's never happened, but it's more of a popular tool to kind of let people know about your charity as much as it is to raise funds. But if you're talking about funds that large, you're absolutely looking at engaging with your key supporters in the community, and kind of social media fundraising is kind of like the icing on the top, but that base has to be there. So I totally thank you for that. I really appreciate that.
Can we do both at the same time?
You can. No, you should do one first. You should absolutely have your loyal base of supporters on your side first. It's
so
almost like
let's say you have some, but you want to build. So the ones that you already have and they're on your email list, you send out these type of emails to them with a donate button that goes to your website. But then
Right.
you also have parallel to that running a launch good campaign so that you could sort of build more support. If you're a small organization, I'm not talking hundreds of thousands of dollars of donations.
Yeah, well, one thing you want to do is, if, for example, if you're running a capital campaign is a whole different ballgame, but just generally speaking, if you are going to run a capital campaign, it's not just you as the organization, and by organization, I mean the employee, 1 or 2 employees in that organization, sending out emails and sending out, setting up launch good pages. What you really need to do is your volunteers and the people who normally would just be your core group of supporters, like people who you would send an email out to and they would donate, those are the people you need to actually pull into the capital campaign, into the planning of that, into the, into the consultation. You want to ask your key stakeholders to join you, to say, come, we're going to do something big and we need your help beyond just doing a one-time donation. We want you to come, and so that, that one supporter by themselves, they would have given you $250 maybe. But as a representative of your organization, as someone who's been pulled into that campaign, they have the ability to then go out and fundraise a whole lot more for you, because they have a whole network of people behind them, right? They have a whole, friends, families, colleagues. Maybe they work in a corporation where they could help to fundraise for you. They have, a whole bunch of cousins and uncles and aunts and who can help, who also can get on board and to donate. So instead of, it's for capital campaigns, you really want to make sure that your key supporters are the ones fundraising for you, that you're not just getting funds from them. And I think that's key, that once you have that, yes, after that initial base of supporters are built, as Imam Arshad said, you want kind of that engagement, 40%. Then after that, using social media to push out and launch good to push out is a good idea. Okay, so sorry, just going back to, I lost my way.
We are at 8:30, but I'll let you complete what you're saying.
Okay. Okay. Just go through again. Okay. So tips for your email campaign, best practices, very quickly. So just a few lists here. Number 1, use an email marketing service such as MailChimp, Flowdesk, or Constant Contact, for example, to send your emails. There are other programs out there. Please use a marketing service. Do not use your email and BCC people, okay? BCC, what's that?
Your screen share is not showing.
Oh, sorry. Oh, resume share. Okay, there you go. Can you guys see it now? Yep.
Okay.
So using an email, so I was just talking about using an email marketing service such as MailChimp, Flowdesk, or Constant Contact. There's others, just highlighting these because these are the most popular. And please do not BCC, okay? Never ever go through your emails and just blind carbon copy people. That's the worst way to do it. You want to have, for a couple of reasons, email marketing services allow you to see stats. They allow you to see how many people opened up your campaign. They allow you to do A/B testing. That's number 5 right here. A/B test your email subject lines and your call to action, right? Okay. So an email marketing service allows you to see which email performed better. I sent the same email, but on one I said, hurry and open this before it expires. And second one I said, some information for you. Now, which one of those subject lines caused more people to click that email and to open it, right? That's called A/B testing. And so you're A/B testing not just your email subject line, but also your call to action. Your donate button, what does it say? Donate now. Support us. We need your help. Test out, some of these areas of your email to see which ones are the most effective. Doing that leads to huge returns on your email campaigns. Always have a call to action. Always. Never just send an email that just has general information or specific information about a campaign. always have a call to action, always have a button that says learn more, that directs you to your website. Even if you're not using that to fundraise money, learn more, go to your, and it goes to your website. Share, you share this campaign, or like, let's just say, for example, but the most obvious one is donate. The unsubscribe button, this is number 3, it's mandatory. So Canada has something called CASL, the Canadian Anti-Spam Legislation. And you can get fined big time if you do not have the ability for people to unsubscribe from your emails. So really important to have that unsubscribe button in the bottom, to have that footer that has the option. And of course, using the email marketing service, that's already built in, right? So MailChimp, Flowdesk, they all have automatically an unsubscribe button there for you, and then manage your preferences. You can also choose, ask people, if they want to have, receive emails from you, but not as often. You can give them that option as well. And also don't add them just because you have access to their email. Yes, that's right. And this is like, that's email 101. Like people, like everybody, a lot of people do this, and especially Muslim charities. I find that we just because we have, we add on all of our uncles, and we add on all of our aunts, we add on all of our friends, and let's just send this to everybody. That's not the way to do it. They have to be subscribed. They have to add in, they have to choose to receive that email. It's really important. Okay, number 4, personalization is important, really important. So MailChimp and all these other email marketing services allow you to personalize. So your email list, right, your list of people in your list are separated. They have first name, last name, their email. You can choose to send, and you can choose to personalize your email by saying, like I just showed you, one of the emails was, Amberine, look at our impact this month, right? And so you can do that both in the subject line, and you can do that in the body of the email. And if you're not sure how to do that with MailChimp, for example, just do a quick search. MailChimp has, and all these services have little tutorials where you can see how to add in personalization. Okay, I'm gonna go to the next subject. And this is really important. Clean up your list, and please do this before Ramadan. So sort your general list. Make sure you have people tagged according to location for specific campaigns, depending on how widespread your donor base is. Individual donors versus foundations or corporate donors. So you don't want to send, like, for example, let's just say you received a grant from an organization and they're in your email database, but you don't want to send an individual email campaign, individual giving campaign email to your contact at, so-and-so public or private foundation. You need to separate your list. You need to have tags and be able to segment your lists so that people don't receive emails inappropriately. Definitely sort your list by regular, medium, and major donors. Now that's going to vary. That what is a major donor is going to vary based on the organization. So if it's a very small organization, a major donation can be something like $500. For a bigger organization, organizations that could be $5,000 or $50,000, and so that all varies based on the size of your organization, but do have some differentiation there. And the reason, we can talk about that later, but we don't have much time later. But the reason for that is that you can send specific emails to your regular donors versus your major donors. So for example, in Ramadan, let's just say you have in your organization 10 people. Let's just say a major donation in your organization is $500, and you have 10 people who have given you $500 in the last year. For Ramadan, you want to put together a special email just for those 10 donors, the ones who have given major amounts, and ask them to give more, or to give a certain amount. You want to have a bit of a personalization that's going specifically for them versus your medium donors, and for your regular donors or smaller donations, you're asking for more, just as a general ask. Monthly donors should be treated differently, completely differently, because they're already giving monthly. So when they get an email saying donate, please donate to our Ramadan campaign, they're already donating. They're loyal. And the fact that you don't know that shows, that you're not really connected to them and to what they're already doing for your organization. So please do segment your monthly donors. What you can do is in Ramadan, email your monthly donors and ask them to increase their monthly giving from $25 to $30, right? Or $15 to $20 by a small amount. And so that's one way to solicit your monthly donors. In-kind donors, so these are people who've never given money, but they have given objects or donations of items. So definitely segment them. And the last one are volunteers. Okay. Plan out your Ramadan emails. So plan in advance. Plan out what each email will highlight and ask for. Plan out when these emails will go out, who these emails are going to. So once again, going back to segmentation of your lists, how much is too much or too little. And by that, I mean, how many emails are too much or too little. Unfortunately, there's some organizations that just spam you, an incredible amount of times in Ramadan. I think that a lot of charities see Ramadan as kind of like just let us just send you a daily email to ask you for money. It's really important to know, you don't want to have a lot of people unsubscribe from your email. You really want to have that chance for people to see your email as meaningful and not just as spam, as junk. And then the last one is, how will you report back to your donors? So making sure that, once you have achieved a certain amount, you had a campaign, you want to raise, $1 million. What are you going to do once you raise that, right? How will you report back to your donors? What kind of celebration will you have? What kind of email will you send out? If somebody did sign up as a monthly donor, or somebody did increase their donation from $25 to $30 upon you asking, make sure you follow up with a thank you email saying, thank you very much. We really appreciate this, right? So that's just an example. So that's it. If there's any questions, I'm sorry for going on past my time. I hope this was useful. But if anyone has any questions, I'm happy to take them right now.